And some of you have like big dreams, but your energy is like a AAA battery. Your battery got to be able to push that dream. And if you got a big old dream, but you got a small engine, you're not going to be able to push it.
Many of you will not be successful because you got this giant goal and no steps to go with it. Keep your dreams phenomenal. Keep your vision phenomenal. Keep it phenomenal.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
I began to realize at the end of the day, as long as there's breath in my lungs, there's hope in our hearts, and giving up's not an option. You and I and we, no matter what your unique situation, your storm, your struggle, your trauma, your abuse, your wounds, your scars, no matter what they are, and I know we've all got them on some way, somehow, some level, whatever they are, I promise you this, you are not a product of your past, you are not a product of your environment or your current unique situation, but you are always a product of how do we navigate through our storm.
People look for the shortcut, the hack. And if you came here looking for that, you won't find it. The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you to where you want to be. Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better. Free. To reach goals and overcome obstacles and be the best version of you possible will not happen by itself. It will not happen cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or looking for the easy way. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. Discipline. There must be discipline. Discipline, the root of all good qualities, the driver of daily execution. The core principle that overcomes laziness and lethargy and excuses. Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that say, not today, not now, I need a rest, I'll do it tomorrow. What's the hack? How do you become stronger, smarter, faster, healthier? How do you become better? How do you achieve true freedom? There is only one way. The way of discipline.
I was allowing things that I couldn't control to control me. And I had to let some things go. And that's a challenge. Because for so long, that pain, that wound, it really became like a safety net for me. Because it was my go-to. It was my reason for all of my struggles. And if I let it go, then I had to begin to face some of my other hurts and my pains. And that's intimidating and it's scary. But the truth is, when we hold on to these things, it's not poisoning the people who did it to us. It's holding you hostage. Purpose. And we've all got a purpose. Every one of you in this room, you were born to leave your fingerprints on history. Every one of you in this room were born to not just exist, but to experience life. In this room, I promise you, if some of you will just begin to take ownership of your life, and some of you probably are already striving and doing phenomenal and making good choices, I want to say keep going, don't give up, keep pursuing it, because I promise you, every single one of you were meant to leave your fingerprints on history. I mean fingerprints on history. Where you can leave back and leave behind a legacy. Where you can leave behind impact. Where you can leave behind a difference. Every one of you are fully capable of leaving your fingerprints on history.
You got all the stuff. You got it all. But you will not outwork me because your height has nothing to do with my work ethic. Your face has nothing to do with my work ethic. Your two-parent background has nothing to do with my work ethic. You will not outwork me. On your jet, you will not outwork me. In your Bentley, you will not outwork me. You will not outwork me. stop dreaming. You dream for a week and you stop because things around you don't look good. You dream for a month, then when you get hit in the mouth, you quit and you give up. You dream for a while, and when people tell you crazy, and when people tell you stupid, and when people tell you can never get done, you stop dreaming and you go back to knowledge. And I dare you to use your imagination. I dare you when you're broke to use your imagination. I dare you when you're rich to use your imagination. I dare you under every single circumstance. Keep dreaming. Keep looking at your dream. Keep focusing on your dream. Keep going after the dream because that's where true success is. I wake up every single day. I am who I say I am. And I get what I get because I live in beast mode. Y'all got to do me a favor. Stop being gazelle. You're not average. There's nothing about you that's average. You're not even good. You were born to be great. You were born to be great. You are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. You're not average. You're not good. You're great. God created you to be great. So be phenomenal.
When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. Just look at the issue and say, good. Now, I don't mean to say something trite. I'm not trying to sound like Mr. Smiley Positive Guy. That guy ignores the hard truth. That guy thinks a positive attitude will solve problems. It won't. But neither will dwelling on the problem. No, accept reality, but focus on the solution. Take that issue, take that setback, take that problem and turn it into something good. Go forward. And if you are part of a team, that attitude will spread throughout. Finally, if you can say the word good, then guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, that means you've still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that will come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded? Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. Go out, gain more experience, build a better resume. Got injured? Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out? Good. It's better to tap out in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat? Good. We learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have an opportunity to figure out a solution.
See, some of you have dreams and goals, but hard work, you can't get around it. I wish there was a magic wand that I could wave, that your passion, your dream, that thing you want to achieve, it could just happen. But it can't. Hard work is required. See, dreams and goals, hard work works. And what I mean by this, hard work and making good choices. Good choices will always position you in life to win. Hard work works. And I know some of you, listen to me very clearly. Every A is not an A. I don't care how much you can jump on Google and get the answer and get your report card or your grade sheet or your teachers or your school to think that you're getting the A. If you're cutting corners, if you're taking shortcuts, every A is not an A. You're not robbing anybody else but you. See, hard work and making good choices, they work hand in hand. In this room, I promise you, are doctors and teachers and actors and athletes, musicians, social workers, cardiologists, cosmetologists, but it won't happen by accident. Hard work works. And you know what's great about our culture, y'all? The world's lazy. It's a good thing for you and me. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody will talk about it. Everybody will post about it. But nobody wants to roll up their sleeves and just go get it. And so what that means for me is I don't have to be the most qualified. I don't have to be the most talented. All I got to begin to do is to apply myself. And by default, I'm going to separate myself from the crowd.
I can tell you everything I've done. The only thing I can't do is grind for you. That's the only thing I can. But I'm gonna tell you all the secrets. I'm gonna give you all the secrets to my success. But if I'm giving you all the secrets to my success and they're mine, and I'm getting up at 3, what time in the world you gonna have to get up? You don't got enough will. They told you no 100 times, and you met me, and I got all of this power and energy, and you talking to me about the no. Why are you wasting my time with telling me about 1,000 no's that have absolutely nothing to do with neither one of us when you just need one yes? Some of you are not transitioning because you're okay with the life you have. When I walk out, I want to be an example of you can start from wherever and get to wherever you want to get to. The reason why you're so lazy is not because you don't have the ability. You're so lazy because your dream's so small.
Hey, sugar. Good evening, everybody. Man, that was powerful. I hope y'all was inspired because I know it set me on fire. It made me think about all the many times that I had challenges throughout my journey, throughout my 52 weeks, throughout my 2-year journey. And I would call on Chad, and his response would always be, you got to look for the positive in everything. You know, you always got to look to try and overcome whatever obstacle stands in your way. And that motivational clip just sent that message home. It just resonated in me, and I thought I would share that with you. So I hope that was one of the things, just one of the things that you picked out of the video, because I know there were several messages that were underlining there that should have hit home. But as I start all of our calls, I always like to say, hey, NSA. And that's just to let y'all know, I am not a financial advisor. I am not here to give you any financial advice as how to invest your personal finances. I'm just simply here to share with you my experiences, right? Share with you some of the knowledge that I've gained through my journey, hopefully to help you along the way. So, as always, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the call and just remind you that we're not here to take any losses, guys. No matter what happens on the charts, no matter what obstacles or problems you face in life, never look at it as a loss. We're always going to be learning lessons. These are experiences that are going to shape who we are, who we will become, and what legacy we will leave for others to follow. So as I start all of our calls with our daily affirmation, I am so thankful and grateful now that I have confidence, patience, and discipline so that I am a master trader. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Harmonic Scanner 52 Weeks to Freedom course. This is class number 11. Can you believe it? We done made it all the way to class 11, y'all. I hope y'all are excited or as excited as I am. And this evening is going to be just like the others. It's going to be jam-packed with information. So we're going to just get the call started right off the bat. We're not going to waste any time. Now, last week we did look at the market, and while we were taking a look at some information, if you recall, there were some alerts that came across the screen. And if you recall, there was a buy alert for AUD NZD, GBP NZD, and EUR NZD pretty much simultaneously, all at the exact same time. And during last week's class, we took some time to take a look at those signals as they were coming in real time. And then we also took a look at the harmonic scanner to get further confirmation so that we would know what was actually happening in the market, right? So that we would have further confirmation, further clarification, and a better understanding of what was happening. So I thought that what we'll do this evening is we'll start the class off taking a look at that information, going back, looking at those pairs so that we can do some analysis, right? So that we can understand exactly how applying all of the knowledge that we've learned is going to help us with our analysis. Because guess what, guys? Just to collect the information, just to study the information, but never to apply the information is only going to do yourself a disservice. You have to apply it, because applied knowledge is what's going to get you to accomplishing your goals, not simply just knowing about it. Okay, so let's just dive right in there and take a look at some charts. But first I want to go back to last week's class just so we can remind ourselves of what actually took place. And then that way we can work this thing out. Now, let's see what they look like before I keep going. Oh, we got a bunch of alerts. Okay. That's AUD NZD on the 15-minute. It just crossed and it broke the 50. It's blue on top, blue on top. That's a buy. Is it pullback or is it continuing? Yep, see it? It's a pullback though. So be careful with that. It might actually pull back and continue up. Let's see. Yeah, it was pulling back. You might catch a couple pips because it's the 15-minute. Maybe 10, anywhere 5 to 10. I'd be careful with it though. Let's see. What else? Oh, look at that. GBP NZD. That's a buy on the 15-minute. Look. It's a buy on the hour, but look, the MACD is changing. So that might be a pullback. I would wait until the MACD crossed back over to indicate it was still going up. But you might be able to, because the 15-minute is already set up for, what's the 4-hour? Oh, the 4-hour says buy too. It might continue to buy. What's this? EURNZD. 15-minute, that just came, that just broke too. Yep, buy. You see how all the NZDs, EUR NZD, GBP NZD, and what was that, odd NZD, all did the exact same thing? Do you see the basket? All on the 15-minute. Yep, all on the 15-minute. AUD NZD, GBP NZD, and EUR NZD all calling for a buy on the 15-minute, and they all broke the 50. So that's all three opportunities to enter in on a market execution on a buy. Go to the Harmonic scanner, odd NZD, what does that say? Oh, but check that out. Odd NZD on the 15-minute. Is indicating us, look, it did the sell, it shot all the way back up, and now it's pulling back. Right, so I'd be careful with that odd NZD. Let's just see. GBP NZD. Look, it's still pulling up. Let's put the sauce on it and see. What was it? Oh, that was GBP NZD, wasn't it? NZD. Traders way. I think it was Traders way. Yeah. Look, yeah. See, look. Now the scanner is calling for a sale. Everybody see that? That's why I said I would be careful with it, because this might just be it pulling up, because this is a sharp pattern. It's possible that it's going to pull up all the way to this second entry before it reverses and pulls back down. That's the funny thing about the sharp patterns. It has 2 entries, so it could possibly pull to the second entry before reversing. So you could, like I said, you could catch probably a few pips going up on those couple of pairs, but I would be careful. I wouldn't try and catch no whole 30. Like I said, you could probably scalp it for a few pips before it actually crosses back over and reverses back to the downside. But as you can see, the scanner is calling for the sell. So the overall trade that you would be looking for would be the sell, not the buy. Does everybody understand that? All right. EURNZD is on the 1 hour too. And look, it's on the 1 hour. Yep, see? I bet you the EURNZD, GBP, NZD. Yep, look, GBP, NZD is probably for a sale too. Yep. Look at that, baskets. EURNZD, GBP, NZD, both on the hour for the sales. And odd NZD was on there for a sale on the 15-minute. Let's say GBP, NZD. Look, yeah, look. GBP, NZD, EURNZD, they're all on here as new signals on the scanner on the 15-minute. But as you see, the sauce is already telling us that this upward trend that it's on, that it created this C to D leg, is not finished running up, which is the reason why it's still pulling to the upside. All right, so based on all of that, when we go back and we're waiting for this to actually, when we go back, let's go back, shrink our screen, go back to our charts, right? All right, now, I have all 3 of them on the screen side by side. I have odd NZD, I have Euro NZD, and I have GBP NZD. Everybody can see that? All right, so look, we're going to start with odd NZD. And I already marked it up here so that we could go back to that date. All right, so as you all see, I put a vertical line right there to let us know, if we remember, it was at 7:30 on the 15th when the signal happened. So if you notice, it's right there, right? And it had broke the 50 and it was going to the upside. All right, now, if we go back to the video here, I'm going to clear off some of these lines so it can make it easier for y'all. So I can always put my lines back later. Right? So this is the date. This is the candle we were looking at when the signal got called. Right? if we go back to the video, it was basically about right in there. When the signal first got called, the price was what? What was that price? Can anybody see it? 1.05. What is that? 611, it looks like, roughly, I guess.
Yes.
On AN. Right? So we go back over here, 1.05611 was right there. So let's get us a horizontal line. Or we can even, yeah, let's just do the line. What I say, 5.611, 5.611, right there, right? So that would have been our entry, because that's when it was called, right? That's when the signal happened. So that's where it would have actually, we would have jumped in with a market execution, right? On that 15-minute chart. But if you remember what I said, we weren't sure about it because we didn't know which direction it was actually going to go in, right? I said you could probably catch a few pips off of it. Not many, though, because the scanner was saying that it was going to change directions. So it only really went up about 6 pips. And what did I say? 5, right? I said you could scalp it 5, 10 pips maybe, right? And that's basically what it gave out before it pulled back to the downside, basically retesting that 200 line, which was at about 26 pips. And then if you notice, it consolidated basically in this zone this entire time before it dropped down a little bit more, which was probably about 35 pips, before it continued to the upside. Now I'm going to drag this out so that we can see it. Right? So even though it pulled up and then pulled back down, so you could have scalped it, caught the few little pips, right? What did the scanner say was the entry and take profit? Because remember, it was calling for a sell, not a buy. So let's go back to it and see. That's AUD, NZD on the 15-minute. It just crossed and it broke. Same thing. Do you see the GBP, NZD, NZD all calling for a buy on the 15-minute, and they all broke, pulling back. AUD, NZD. Right. So I'll be careful with that odd NZD. All right. So what does that say? The entry was 1.05594, right? And then that was the entry. And then the take profit was 1.05457, right? That was take profit 1. But it went all the way down to 1.05183, which was T3. Right? Okay, so the entry on the scanner was 1. Let's get us another horizontal. We'll change the color. Let's make that black, since this is what the scanner said. 1.05594. 05594. 594. Coordinates 594. Did I say that? 1.05594 entry. And then let's put scanner, right? Look, and it's right on the entry where we got in. Right? And that was, we were saying buy, but the scanner was saying sell. Right? If we would have went off of what the alert told us to do. Right? Now to take profit, the first take profit was 1.05457. That's 5'9". Let's put 5'7". 5'7". And that's TP, right? Right. And then the other take profit was 1.05183. 05183. That's 85. That's close. 83, right? And this is T3, right? So look, this is the entry. Here, let's even make it even bigger than that. See if I can zoom it in. Right? So look, our signal told us buy. We jumped in here. We only would have caught up to here. Right? Unless we held it and had a stop loss big enough, right, to withstand the 36 pip pullback before it actually reversed to the upside. But look how many hours we would have had to remain in that trade waiting for it to continue to the upside. Right? Now, if you notice, the scanner said sell. And what did it do? It did it. This is where we were. And what happened? This is exactly where the entry was on the scanner. The black line. Right? And then it dropped from the entry down to take profit 1, which was about 13 pips. Right? But it did not make it all the way to T3. Did it make it to T2? It looks like it did. 1.05352. So 352. 352 is right here. $352. And that's TP2. So look, it did exactly what the scanner said it was going to do, right? So you can look at this 2 ways. And this is the reason why I brought it up. You had 2 opportunities to profit. Actually, multiple opportunities to profit from this one pair based on the alert that we received from TradingView, based on our crosses with the sauce and with the scanner. Because the scanner told us that there were 2, possibly even 3 opportunities to profit on a sale. And if you notice, it actually profited 2 out of the 3 times. It hit take profit 1 and it hit take profit 2 before continuing to the upside. Now this is the part. the entry that we had also seems to have been a zone, if you notice, right? Because it got retested here again before it got retested and it broke through here, which was actually another opportunity for us to get in on the buy. Or like I said, if we had a big enough stop loss, we would have just rolled this wave all the way to the height of the trade. And that would have been almost 65 pips to the upside. So if you notice, you could have caught the 6 pips when you first started, which was that first scalp. Boom, let me catch 6 pips, get out. Right? Or you could have took the 2 opportunities to catch the sales from the scanner, which it did. And if you notice, right? When you zoom in on it and you take a look at the sauce kind of told you what was happening. Look, so it told us it was going to buy. Then it hit this zone and it found some resistance. And it said, nope, I can't break through that yet. So it started pushing back down, right? And if you notice, it hit 1 and 2 with a wick. Then it started pulling back up, right? And then started pulling back down, right? So it's pulling down. And then it started pulling up. And you can see the crosses happening, right? So it crossed over here saying go up, right? Because that's when we got the alert. Then it crossed again over here telling us it was pulling back some, right? And it pulled all the way to about here. And then it crossed again telling us it was pulling back up, going back up to this zone. And then it pulled back down again. Look, crossed again. Here's another opportunity. And then it crossed again over here for the actual move. So this is actually the breakout. All of this is consolidation with the 50. Does everybody see that? Did I go too fast? Did it make sense? All right. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because even though we're looking at the alerts that we're getting from the sauce, every time the sauce crosses or every time there is a potential cross happening, then you're going to get an alert, which takes some analysis. You're going to have to come in and take a look and make sure that this is actually moving in the direction that you want it to go, or is this a lot of consolidation before the actual move happens? So even though this gave us a small window of opportunity initially, you could have held that trade and continued to catch this wave all the way to the upside. But then you wouldn't have caught these pullbacks on the scanner unless you entered in separate sell orders to catch these moves. All right. Now, that was odd NZD, right? When we're looking at Euro NZD, oh, let me go back to it. It should take me back to the one screen. Yes, no, it didn't. Here, I'll do it this way. There we go. All right, so check it out. If you notice, Euro NZD, it pulled up too, right? It pulled up to the upside. And Euro NZD, that was at 1.82495, 1.82495, right? And if you notice, 82495, 495 was right there. 495, right? And if you pay attention, it basically did the exact same thing. It pulled up, but if you notice, EUR NZD gives out way more pips. So it gave us about 44 pips, right? And then it consolidated across, and then it shot down all the way. And it continued to drop, right? Giving out hundreds of pips to the downside. And if you look at GBP NZD, it did the exact same thing. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is because although when they first started out, AUD NZD, GBP NZD, and EUR NZD all gave out the same signal, and they gave you a potential scalping move on the 15-minute. GBP NZD and EUR NZD continued pushing to the downside considerably, but AUD NZD moved to the upside. So that leads us to believe that although all three of them should have been moving in the same direction, because NZD was in the same placement, because NZD was its quote, we can realize by understanding our currency strength that AUD had to have been extremely strong at that time, because AUD trumped NZD, which continued to push the market to the upside. All right. So I wanted to just go over some of that so that you know how we're looking at the pairs, how we're looking at these analysis, how we get signals from our alerts, how we're using the scanner to make these further confirmations. All right. Now, I'm going to dig into what we touched last week and piggyback up off of it and add more to it so that we have more foundation as we continue moving forward. All right, last week we talked about how we understand the market, and how we do that is up until this point we've been talking about price and the fluctuations in price over a course of time. And it wasn't up until last week that we even touched on what is known as volume. And we're going to dig deeper into that this evening. All right, so up until this point, we've just been talking about price and how it will either rise or fall over a course of time. And we actually monitor that through currency strength. And so we're looking at the pair or the currency that we're monitoring, and we're taking a look at whether or not that currency's prices are rising over time, or if the prices are falling over time. Okay, and so once we have determined that relationship, we can take a look at the market and make a hypothesis about which direction we think the market is going to go in. So once we start to add this missing element, this third piece to the puzzle, Then we start to do an analysis called volume price analysis. And that analysis is based on the relationship between volume and price over the entire life of the candle. And so it is basically a formula where you're taking a look at volume multiplied by price by time. So you're looking at the volume that's taking place in the market and how that impacts the price of a currency over the course of time. Now, Richard Wyckoff is the founding father of volume price analysis. Wyckoff's approach to self-directed investing is this. He said that we should never trust the experts. We should never want to be someone who is actually just taking signals, taking the information for granted, never digging deeper or doing our own technical analysis. He believed that his approach was an art and not a science. And it's funny that he actually came up with 3 basic laws that everyone that I've ever come in contact with, and I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, have ever come in contact with, has some knowledge of or has actually been introduced to these 3 laws. They just never knew the origin story of them or where they came from. And so Wyckoff is actually famous for the law of supply and demand, the law of cause and effect, and the law of effort versus result. And I'm going to dig deeper into how these 3 laws impact us as a trader and impacts the marketplace. All right. Now, I want to share something with you guys kind of quickly. I just want to read something to you. One of my mentors, Gary Keller, he's actually the owner, founding father of Keller and Williams Realty. I know that there are a lot of realtors on the team. Not sure if there's any realtors on the call, but you'll probably appreciate this. He wrote a book and it's called Shift. And he wrote it right around the time that we had the last financial crisis, right? And he wrote this introduction to his book. And the introduction says this: the worst that happens to you can be the best thing for you if you don't let it get the best of you, right? And so then he starts to talk about how the real estate market has shifted drastically and dramatically, that the sales volume and the number of transactions have dropped significantly. Inventory, the number of properties has reached an all-time high, that the buyers have never been more reluctant. Fear is rampant. Anxiety is high, and people are getting out of the business left and right. Right? Sound familiar? Sure it does. The year was 1979, and that's what was happening all around me, right? He was 22 at the time, new to the industry, right, in Austin, didn't know anything, but he was still able to sell some houses during his first month, right? And then the market collapsed. Interest rates soared to over 18%. The marketplace fell into chaos, right? And then he didn't have any closings. So then his dad helped him out. And then he was able to pick up, right? Then think about it. He says 8 years later, right? Fast forward to 1987, and it happened again. Now, this time, the government changed the tax laws, which had a disastrous effect. The market shifted, right? There was another shift, right? Seemingly overnight, the listing inventory went through the roof. Now, this time there was more sales, right? More inventory available. Sales transaction fell. So there was more inventory, right? More supply, but no demand, right? Because nobody was buying, right? The members fell apart. Now, it was still panic and confusion, right? Everybody felt like they was running for helter-skelter, right? Trying to figure out what were they going to do, right? Now, he started his company. He was going against some of his competitors, right? And he found out that, as bad as his first market shift experience was when he was an agent. It was even worse when he became an owner, because now he was not only responsible for himself, but responsible for all these other people that were on his team, right? All these people that were depending on him, all of those families that were depending on him, right? And in the end, he found a way through the shift, just as he had before, once again, not only survived, but thrived and ultimately emerged stronger, more capable than ever. Less than 2 years later, after the shift, right, the company became #1 in the market. Now, I read this to say, he leaves us with a small caption at the end saying this: are you facing a shift? If you are, you shouldn't be surprised. History repeats itself. This is not the first time real estate professionals have been in this position. What's happening to you today has happened before and is destined to happen again. Real estate markets shift. They always have and always will, and the business goes on. As bleak as things can look during shifts, when I look back, I believe they've served as the genesis for everything I've become and the catalyst for all that I've achieved. In fact, I've come to see them as opportunities, and so can you. Now, I share that because it brings me to that first law, the law of supply and demand. And if you start to think about what's happening in the market right now today, right? Or even if you think about the real estate crash that we had in what, 2008, right? And if you think about it, if you know anything about real estate, if you know any realtors, right? They're right now preparing because the market is actually overdue for a real estate shift. The real estate market shifts every 8 to 10 years, right? I know this because I'm a realtor. And it's a realtor's job to always monitor supply and demand, right? And we're looking for, when demand is greater than supply, then we know that the prices will rise, right? And we also know that when supply is greater than demand, then the prices will fall. And you don't have to look at this from the lens of a realtor. We can even break this down simpler than that, guys. How many of you have recently tried to go to any store and either purchase toilet tissue? How about alcohol swabs, hand sanitizer, anything that has to do with cleaning supplies, right? All of those things are sold out, right? There's a greater demand for those items, but there is no supply, right? So when the demand is greater, that means that they can go on YouTube or go on Amazon or go on Google or Facebook Marketplace, and people can buy a little jar of hand sanitizer and they can actually reduce it down into little bite-sized little samples and then sell it at an inflated price. Everybody understand that? And so what I did was I created this job aid to give you a visual of what is actually happening. When there are an obscene number of buyers, when the buyers outnumber the sellers, when there are more buyers, more demand in the market, then the prices rise. Because guess what? It's a seller's market, right? They have control over the market. They can control the price because they don't have enough supply to basically give to the demand. And since they don't have enough, they can inflate the price, right? Flip side of that, look at gas right now, right? There's not a big demand for gas because everybody's on lockdown and quarantine. So you notice gas prices went from $2, $3, $4 down to $1 and some change in some places, probably less than $1 in others, right? Because now it's a buyer's market, right? Because we have more control. We can choose what we want to buy, what we want to spend our money on. And it's the same thing with trading. We have to remember there is a tug of war happening between the buyers and the sellers, right, of these currencies during these time periods throughout the day, right, throughout the seasons. That is going to impact the market, and we need to be aware of it. The second law is cause and effect. In order to have an effect, you must first have a cause. The effect will be in direct proportion to the cause. In other words, if there's a small amount of volume activity, right, in the market, it should only result in a small amount of price action, and vice versa. And everybody knows what cause and effect is when it comes to everyday life, right? What you do, right, is going to have an equal or opposite, right? It's going to have a reaction to it, right? What you do is going to have an effect, right? A cause and effect. And when we're looking at trading, when we're looking at the charts, how this relates is this. If there is a lot of volume in the market, then you should see a lot of price action, meaning the candle, the size of the candle should reflect the volume in the market. If there is little volume in the market, then the candle, the size of the candle should reflect the amount of volume in the market. And if you notice, when we're looking at the cause and effect, it doesn't matter which direction the market is moving in. What we're looking at is that if there is a lot of volume, then there should be a lot of price action moving. The price should be moving strong in that direction. If there is little volume, then the price should be moving very little, right? But when we're looking at cause and effect, it does not matter if it's going up or down. It just matters the impact, the relationship between volume and price. Now we're looking at volume and price and their relationship to one another. And then we'll add in the third element, which is time. Now, his third law is the law of effort versus result. Every action must have an equal and opposite reaction, right? So in other words, the price action on the chart must reflect the volume action below. The two should always be in harmony with another. So with the effort, what is seen should also be reflected in the result, right? So if you see that there is volume, then you should have an equal or opposite reaction in price. And what I mean by that is this. If there are more buyers in the market, then the volume of buyers should push the market in the direction of an upward trend. So buyers equals upward trend mobility, price action moving in an upward direction. When there are more sellers in the market, when the volume is strong amongst the sellers, then the price action would sell. So sellers are going to impact the market in a way that is going to push the market in a downward direction. So volume and price action will equal each other in relationship between the direction of the trend and whether or not there are more buyers or more sellers in the marketplace. All right. So now next week, what we're going to do is we're actually going to dive in, and I'm going to show you some indicators that we can use to apply to our charts that will actually help us monitor these laws, so that we know that if there is at any point in time an anomaly that happens, where there is something that is showing us that one of those rules have been broken, then we know that there is a manipulation taking place in the market. And I will dive in deeper as to who's responsible for that market manipulation. How do we monitor their actions? How do we monitor their analysis? How do we determine what their intentions are? And how do we plan accordingly so that we can actually be profitable and move and transition from a retail trader to a professional trader? We need to be trading like the banks. And the banks monitor volume. The brokers monitor volume, because they're paying attention to how many buyers and sellers are in the market at any given particular time and how that impacts price. So this week you're going to want to study volume, study price action, watch for the trends, watch for the patterns, right? Study your assigned pairs, keep studying the sauce, keep applying that trading plan. Practice, practice, practice. There is no such thing as a loss, only a lesson. Continue to look for setups. Share them in the group. So what? We're here to help each other. It don't matter. I mean, it's really no right or wrong answer, guys. It's like science. It's a hypothesis. Your analysis is not going to necessarily be the same analysis that I get. But at least if you share it, we can help one another to make sure that we're seeing what we should be seeing, or at least pointing each other in the right direction based on some of the other tools or resources that we might have access to. And remember, just stay plugged in, because at the end of the day, what you get out of these classes, guys, what you get out of the 52 weeks, what you get out of the academy, what you get out of your team meetings, what you get out of your Zoom calls is all dependent on what you put into it. Cause and effect, effort, right, and result, right? Supply and demand. There's a demand for the information we have, right? But there ain't really much supply. Because think about it. There aren't that many people out here that really know the information and can share it correctly, right? So you have the upper hand. You have something that everybody wants. The answer, the solution, right? And we have it. And so I hope that as you continue your journey with the 52 weeks and you continue to master this skill set, because it takes 10,000 hours, guys, to master anything. 10,000 hours. I don't know if you're putting in those hours. It's only going to reflect in what you do. Applied knowledge. But I love you all, and that's why I do these calls. Because I want to share the information that I got and that I learned throughout my journey with y'all. So I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful week, a profitable trading week, right? And I can't wait, because next week is our last week together, and then I get to pass it on to the next educator, and then I get to become a student so that I can learn too. All right, guys, love you all. See you next week.